Imagine a country being invaded tomorrow. No massive army, no tank divisions, no fighter squadrons, no aircraft carriers. In some cases, not even a single tank. To most people, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. After all, throughout history, nations have relied on military power to survive. Yet scattered across our planet are countries with armed forces so small they could fit inside a sports stadium. Some have only a few hundred soldiers. Others don't even maintain a standing army at all. And yet somehow they continue to exist. So how do these tiny nations survive in a world where military strength still matters? Today, we're picking up the 10 smallest militaries on Earth and discovering the surprising reasons they don't need massive armies. Number 10. Luxembourg. Population, approximately 680,000. Military personnel, around 950. At first glance, Luxembourg seems like an unlikely candidate for this list. After all, it's one of the wealthiest countries in Europe. Yet its military remains remarkably small. With fewer than 1,000 active personnel, Luxembourg's entire armed force is smaller than the crew of many modern warships. The country possesses light armoured vehicles, transport aircraft, and support equipment. What it doesn't possess are tanks, fighter jets, or large combat formations. So why maintain such a small military? The answer lies in geography and alliances. Luxembourg sits between some of Europe's most powerful nations and is a founding member of NATO. An attack on Luxembourg would immediately involve much larger military powers. As a result, the nation focuses on highly trained professional soldiers rather than large numbers. For Luxembourg, quality matters more than quantity. Number 9. Malta. Population, approximately 550,000. Military personnel, around 1,700. Located in the center of the Mediterranean Sea, Malta occupies one of the most strategically important locations in Europe. For centuries, empires fought over this island. Romans, Arabs, Knights, the British Empire. Everyone wanted Malta. Today, however, the country's military is surprisingly small. The armed forces of Malta consist of roughly 1,700 personnel. Their primary mission isn't preparing for large-scale war. Instead, they focus on maritime patrol, border protection, search and rescue operations, and disaster response. Most of Malta's military hardware consists of patrol vessels, surveillance aircraft, transport vehicles, and light weapons. In many ways, Malta's military resembles a hybrid between a traditional armed force and a national emergency service. Number 8. Monaco. Population 39,000. Military personnel 250. Monaco is famous for luxury yachts, casinos, Formula One racing, and extraordinary wealth. Military power is not usually part of that image, and for good reason. The tiny principality maintains only a few hundred military personnel. Its force consists largely of ceremonial units and security organizations responsible for protecting government institutions and the royal family. There are no fighter aircraft, no tanks, no missile systems, no major naval assets. Yet Monaco remains perfectly secure. Why? Because of a simple reality. France. Under long-standing agreements, France is responsible for helping guarantee Monaco's defence. This allows the Principality to focus its resources elsewhere while still enjoying protection from one of Europe's strongest militaries. Number 7. Antigua and Barbuda. Military personnel around 300. If you gathered the entire military of Antigua and Barbuda into a single stadium section, there would still be empty seats. This Caribbean nation maintains one of the smallest armed forces on Earth. Its military primarily operates as a coast guard and light infantry force. The country possesses patrol boats, small arms, and limited support equipment. Its mission is straightforward: protect territorial waters, combat smuggling, respond to emergencies, and maintain national security. For an island nation surrounded by water, naval patrol capabilities are far more important than tanks or fighter jets. Number 6. Dominica. Population approximately 72,000. Military personnel only around 500. Dominica sits in the Eastern Caribbean and is known for its rugged mountains, dense rainforests and volcanic landscapes. Its military is just as small as its population. With roughly 500 personnel, Dominica's armed force focuses heavily on coastal security and internal protection. The nation lacks heavy armour and advanced combat aircraft. Instead, resources are directed toward practical needs: patrol vessels, security operations, disaster response, and law enforcement support. For small nations like Dominica, military effectiveness is often measured by flexibility rather than firepower. Number 5. St. Lucia. St. Lucia may be known for its beautiful beaches and volcanic peaks, but it also maintains one of the Caribbean's smallest armed forces. With approximately 600 personnel, the country's military focuses primarily on maritime security. The Caribbean faces challenges that differ significantly from those confronting major powers: smuggling, illegal fishing, drug trafficking, search and rescue missions. These are often more immediate concerns than conventional warfare. As a result, St. Lucia's military is designed to address practical regional threats rather than large-scale combat operations. Number 4. Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. Population approximately 103,000. Military personnel only around 400. The nation of Saint Vincent and the Grenadines consists of a chain of islands spread across the Caribbean Sea. Protecting such a dispersed territory presents unique challenges. Despite this, the country maintains only a few hundred military personnel. Its security forces focus on coastal patrols, law enforcement support, and territorial monitoring. Heavy military hardware is almost non-existent, yet the nation continues to function effectively. Because for small island states, visibility and presence often matter more than overwhelming force. Number 3. Grenada. Total population around 125,000, but military personnel are only around 300. Grenada's military history is unlike any other country on this list. In 1983, the island became the centre of a major international crisis that led to military intervention by the United States and several Caribbean nations. The events dramatically reshaped the country's security structure. Today, Grenada maintains a small security force numbering only a few hundred personnel. Its responsibilities include border protection, coastal surveillance, and internal security. Compared to global military powers, Grenada's force is tiny, but for a nation of just over 100,000 people, it fulfills its mission effectively. Number 2. Vatican City. The population is only around 800. Military personnel 135. The smallest country on Earth also possesses one of the world's most famous military organizations, the Swiss Guard. Founded in 1506, the Swiss Guard has protected popes for more than 5 centuries. Their colourful uniforms make them instantly recognisable, but many people mistakenly assume they are merely ceremonial. In reality, members undergo military training, security instruction, and extensive preparation for protecting the Pope and key Vatican locations. The entire force numbers roughly 135 personnel. No tanks, no warships, no fighter aircraft. Yet they remain one of the oldest continuously operating military organisations in existence. For such a tiny nation, that's a remarkable achievement. At the top of our list sits one of the oldest republics in the world. San Marino. Population approximately 34,000. Military personnel around 100, surrounded entirely by Italy. This tiny nation has survived for centuries despite maintaining an incredibly small military. Its armed forces consist of several ceremonial and security units totaling roughly 100 personnel. Most serve part-time roles. Heavy military equipment is virtually non-existent. The country's defence strategy relies heavily on diplomacy, international relationships, and geographic reality. Any serious military threat would almost certainly involve neighbouring Italy long before San Marino's tiny force entered combat. Yet despite its size, the country has maintained its independence for generations. That alone makes its military story extraordinary. You must be wondering, how do these countries survive? How can nations with only a few hundred soldiers possibly survive in today's world? The answer comes down to four powerful factors. First, alliances. Countries such as Luxembourg benefit from collective defence agreements that dramatically increase their security. Second, geography. Island nations enjoy natural barriers that discourage aggression. Third, diplomacy. Small countries often invest heavily in international relationships because diplomacy is far cheaper than maintaining large armies. And finally, the absence of major threats. Many of these nations simply do not face the kinds of security challenges confronting larger powers. Their military requirements are fundamentally different. One of the biggest misconceptions in global politics is that military power depends entirely on size. History tells a more complicated story. A nation with 2 million soldiers is not automatically safer than a nation with 200. Geography matters, economics matter, alliances matter, technology matters. The countries on this list demonstrate that security can take many forms. Some rely on partnerships, others rely on neutrality, some rely on strategic geography, and a few rely on all three. Military power isn't always measured by how many soldiers a nation has. Sometimes it's measured by how intelligently those soldiers are used. When we think about armies, we often imagine giant military powers dominating the global stage. But the nations on this list reveal a different reality. They show that survival doesn't always require massive armies, endless tanks, or fleets of fighter jets. From Luxembourg's professional volunteer force to the legendary Swiss Guard of Vatican City, these tiny militaries continue to protect their nations in their own unique ways. Their stories remind us that military strength comes in many forms, and sometimes the smallest armies tell the most fascinating stories. Because while great powers may rely on overwhelming force, the world's smallest militaries rely on something else entirely: adaptation, diplomacy, and the understanding that survival isn't always about having the biggest army. Sometimes it's about having exactly the army you need. Which military surprised you the most? Was it Luxembourg's NATO-backed force, the centuries-old Swiss Guard, or San Marino's tiny military protecting one of the world's oldest republics? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy documentaries about military history, geopolitics, and the hidden stories behind nations and armies, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next documentary.